Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. And as you know, I spent nearly 10 years in North Dakota regulating various industries, and the more telecom cases that came before us, the less I was enthused about it, because it just seemed like every case that came before us was about a new technology that required less regulation, not more. Nonetheless, was happy to carry out really several cases, that some landmark. I mean, I think we did one of the early ETCs for a wireless company. We did an early VoIP interconnection case with rural telco. We did a very contentious cable company seeking facilities-based ILEC in the Bakken, and while I don't know that any of them were unanimous. I'm proud to say I was on the prevailing side, and all of them were held up. Were held up in court, both federal and state court. That said, I don't feel as smart as I used to today for some reason. So I appreciate everybody. I also have to say that I was amused by Ms. Eshu's admonition of Catholic confession with Mr. Shimkus, but I noticed that he said he came kicking and screaming, which is far short of repentance, I will tell you. I appreciate, Chairman Paul, your reference to the omission of the RFA in this by the Commission, because this is a far too common omission by several regulatory agencies in recent years, and it was one that hadn't come to my attention yet, but you're right. I think a lot of issues could be solved much better, much more to the liking of investment opportunity if we were applying the RFA appropriately. I am also interested in this issue of specialized services, and maybe this will demonstrate my ignorance a little bit, but if we are on the one hand arguing that we should give and we trust the FCC's use of flexibility in determining forbearance, why wouldn't we trust their flexibility in determining specialized services under this draft? And is there some way we can tighten that up if it concerns people, if somebody would want to take that one on? Mr. Meisner.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Congressman. I do believe the FCC, as a specialized agency, ought to be empowered to help flesh out rules, provide through notice and comment rulemaking the detail and certainty that both business and consumers need under, again, that ceiling set by Congress. Mm-hmm. So if the bill goes forward, the ceiling is fine, but the Commission ought to have authority beneath it.
Then, did you want to take a stab at that, Mr. Powell?
Well, I just wanted to quickly say, there's been this denigration of specialized services. This Commission has repeatedly held that there is room for specialized services, even in its 2010 rules, because it believed there were really serious consumer benefiting characteristics to that. The reason specialized services is an issue is we use the same network for the provision of proprietary services that we built and privately financed and own a network to deliver. A huge amount of that capacity is reserved and used for the services we're in the business of selling. There is an effort, subtle or otherwise, to confiscate the entire platform for public internet use. What the FCC recognized was some portion of that infrastructure will always rightfully be available to the incumbent who built the network to deliver the services and innovate for their consumers in the provision of the services they're in business to provide. Yes. You have to provide for an allowance for specialized services, lest you're creating a taking of property in its totality. Yeah. Now, if Mr. Meisner is correct, can we talk about how you define it or what the FCC's flexibility in interpreting it? I have absolutely no problem with that.
Yeah. Dr. Turnerly, yeah.
Thank you. And Congress, if I may, I'll just add on real quickly to the other comments. I think there is a conversation that can be had about specialized services, particularly if you go back to much of my testimony about adoption and relevance. If we look at the case of zero rating programs, for example, for low-income minority communities that are not engaged, there is some space to actually have some discussion on how those can be used for a public interest. I think it comes back to a legitimate consumer concern and, questions related to who's to say today that tomorrow we won't be looking at telemedicine delivery and our ability to get our health records in real time, not being important to us. So I think there is some room for conversation, and with the FCC as the expert agency to help us guide that discussion as to what's important to consumers.
Well, and that brings me to another point that, again, maybe I'm not understanding clearly, but we've heard a lot of bemoaning of the 706 authority, the Title II authority being stripped away, and that somehow that leaves the FCC powerless. And we haven't talked a lot about their ancillary authority, which is there to deal with a lot of these issues, and the ones that aren't there, we're here. I mean, Congress is, there's a new one every couple of years. And I feel like for too many years, Congress has sort of just let the agencies become Congress. And I think that's the balance we're trying to strike. And I don't know if somebody has a few seconds to add to that, but.
I can respond to that, Mr. Congressman.
Sure.
So I think we're concerned, the reason we're concerned about stripping of the 706 and the Title II is because of court cases in the past, 4 decades that have really stripped the FCC of much of its ancillary authority and have whittled it away over the years. And so that to us feels like a less certain solution.
Mm-hmm. Chairman Paul, I mean, has the Commission's ancillary authority been stripped away?
I'd say 2 quick things that I think are important. Number one, the Commission has authorities that come from a range of statutes. It's not exclusively governed by just the Telecommunication Act. The Commission has been very aggressive in the protection of disability access for communities because this body passed the CCVA, which authorizes them to apply disability protections to Internet services and is aggressively doing so. The Commission has authority under CALEA to protect surveillance and other kinds of issues. And there's a whole host of authorities, and some, yes, are ancillary. The Commission, I would argue, has lost ancillary when it's abused that power. It's also frequently used ancillary effectively to do any number of social positive regulations.
I thank you all. This has been fascinating. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.